Hello, everyone. This is Vern Davis. I'm your host of Plant Profits, and Plant Profits is proudly brought to you by Produce Global. I'm excited about my guest today. She operates a woman-owned business in Massachusetts focused on the cannabis beverage marketplace. She explains that it's a high priority for women to feel included in the cannabis space and for women to know that they belong in the cannabis community. I think she's right on with that.
Thank you.
Very important. And I want you all to welcome to Plant Profits Sarah Patel. She is the CEO and founder of Kelia, and it's an amazing beverage.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I've heard really tremendous things about your product. And welcome to Plant Profits.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, we had to have you, Sarah. You're doing things. You're
Yep.
doing things. No, that's great. So look, your package is beautiful. It's so clean.
Thank you. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. But I really want to start just by really talking about your cannabis journey, right? How you got to the point till you took decisive action. Okay.
So, um, my cannabis journey started when I was a teenager.
Okay.
I felt like very comfortable with the plant, and I loved all of, not just the euphoric feeling that it would give you, but just the overall calmness. And then later on, as I was, getting pregnant, was pregnant, and while I was breastfeeding my daughter, I stopped using cannabis altogether. And
Right.
that's obviously a long chunk of time. And when I went back to cannabis, I realized that I had been really helping my anxiety for so many years. I didn't realize how anxious I had gotten
Really?
in a time. Yeah. And so just being a new mom and all of that. So I was one day, going for a walk, and it kind of just like came to me that this is a feeling I wanted to bottle up literally for other
Literally.
women.
Yeah. That is impressive. I mean, it's probably not an uncommon story, right? You would think.
I would
And
assume,
I'm talking about the anxiety, not the specifics, but the whole anxiety that somehow we've enjoyed the plant, and then we somehow discover why we kept doing it.
I agree. Yeah. I think that a lot of, from just being in this space, so many people opened up to me, and a lot of it is, maybe they didn't know about cannabis before or believe in cannabis before. And I think that part of why everything is opening up is, I think, part of the intimidation of cannabis pre-legalization was you could really only smoke it, and that's not what everybody wants to do in terms of like health or anything. And so even though that's what I was used to, that's not necessarily what you have to do anymore. So it opens it up to so many people to be able
Absolutely.
to enjoy the plant.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. We talked at the top of the show that your product, Kelia, is a beverage product. And you probably started out like I did, and most people, with flour, right? And right. How did you get to choose beverage? Beverage is a small but extremely opportunistic part of the business, right? So how did you choose beverage over, say, gummies or some other consumer intake?
I felt like beverage was the best way to get people who are kind of curious also in, and people who want to maybe not consume as much alcohol in. I feel like for a beverage, a gummy, you just kind of put it in your mouth. There's no real socialization with it. You're not
Exactly.
getting
I
anywhere, like
totally
that.
agree.
You
Yeah.
take it and you can socialize, but it's not necessarily something that you can add into a social event easily.
Yeah.
What I found also was that, so that was one aspect. The other aspect is I thought a lot about this, and getting people into cannabis is something that's very important to me, and particularly making women feel at ease, knowing like you're not a bad mom if you use cannabis, and
Yeah.
you're still a great human, and all of the connotations that used to happen need to kind of it's had its time. And so
Yeah.
you can enjoy a drink as slow as you want, as slow or as quickly as you want.
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
my beverages are uh, non-carbonated.
I love that, by the way. Stay right there because I can't drink carbonation and I'm not alone.
Right,
I,
right.
I need still beverage
Yes. So
for health benefits. Yeah, for I have a health issue that requires me to drink still. I can't drink the heavy carbonated products.
yes, and the funny thing, not funny, but the thing is
Hmm.
that that's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not into the carbonated, and that's one of the things I noticed, at least in the Massachusetts market. I wasn't finding all of this diversity of beverage options. I was finding a lot of seltzers,
Right.
which is something I really wanted to kind of stay away from. What I really wanted to model my idea after was those low calorie juices
Okay.
that are so big on the market.
Okay.
Celsius is a good example because they have
Hmm.
carbonated and non-carbonated.
They do. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and with this, I thought, like you can add electrolytes for hydration. Make it actually a health drink, like a functional health drink. Add
Right.
vitamin C and zinc for immunity. That's in my pineapple jalapeno. And lastly is
I
my
love that.
Thank you. And lastly is my prebiotics and fibers in my grapefruit ginger, electrolytes in watermelon coconut.
That's great. So not only does it taste good, but it's good for you.
Yeah, I wanted people
And
to, yeah.
I love the fact because I think it's so important is that the way you're going about it, Sarah, is that you are absolutely addressing need states, consumer need states,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Trying to,
And I think that's really important as you build a brand, right? So it tastes good. How hard was it? Let's talk about some of your challenges. How hard was it to first of all to get a voice to the point where you start a business, one, and then um, to really take that and create the brand that you want and get the taste right. The taste is so important. The
mhm.
visual and the taste is so important for ongoing consumption. And for the reasons you said, adoption of cannabis, the socialization around beverage creates the prime marketplace for that, for
Mhm.
consumers. And
Yes.
so you can't be like taking medication, right? It has to be like a socialization, fun, tasteful product. And how did you get to that? What did you have to go through?
There's a lot of product development, um,
Yeah.
for sure. I came up with the flavors very kind of organically, honestly. They were just kind of flavors that jumped out to me.
Okay.
And my husband and I went to the store and we got all of the ingredients that we needed just to see like, would watermelon coconut even taste good? Or is
Mm-hmm.
jalapeno a good, flavor and all of that? So we did a lot of, testing of our own. And then when we brought it to a product developer, um, there was a lot of fine tuning. They were great. They're out in California. They
Mm-hmm.
were wonderful to work with and made it very easy to be able to formulate this. And um, I would say that the biggest challenges right now is education around.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's so important. I have different minor cannabinoids in two of my beverages, CBG,
Okay.
pineapple jalapeno, and THCV is in grapefruit ginger. And I really want to be able to create a brand that values the how healthy cannabis can be when, consumed appropriately, and how there are
Mm-hmm.
so many different facets of the plant that aren't getting that much attention. CBG, for example, can fight cancer causing cells. It can fight bacteria, inflammation. That's a
Mm-hmm.
healthy thing to be able to consume.
Almost like a probiotic.
And then, yes, and then THC
Uh-huh.
is thought to be an appetite
Mm-hmm.
suppressant and stimulant. Obviously, neither of these are sort of like what studies are showing for
Right.
both of these minor cannabinoids. And those are things, a THCV being a stimulant or appetite suppressant, that's so funny because it's like the opposite of what people think when they think of cannabis, which is why it
Yeah.
fascinated me so much and that I had to put it in one of my beverages because that's so crazy. It's such a
Oh, that's cool.
versatile plant.
That is cool. Yeah. No, that is cool. Yeah. What about let's talk about the education. I was thinking something else also is that you have very, let's say, creative choices to a consumer from a flavor or a taste perspective, right? That there's no one else doing this, pineapple and jalapeno. You are, right?
Mhm.
Do you get a shock factor? What is the consumer insight information telling you about the flavors that you chose to go with, and now they're out in the marketplace? What's the reception to that, and what kind of feedback are you getting? And do you use that feedback to make changes?
Absolutely. The feedback has been great, actually.
Okay.
They People are loving like the different, as you mentioned, like the different flavors that are
Mhm.
out. It's they're not seltzer flavors, so it tastes like a
Right.
real juice that you're drinking. With fresh juice ingredients, and I tried to use the best ingredients that I could for
Mhm.
beverage. So the reception's been great, but I say to everybody, like I want to be open to all of the consumers. Contact my email, contact, you know, KeliaDrink.com or go to my
Mhm.
Instagram at KeliaDrink and be as vocal. I'm so open to hearing what everybody says. If someone said, people think that pineapple jalapeno is too spicy. Well, maybe I can work on that in the future. Um,
Mhm.
I want to be able to make the best drink for consumers as a whole.
Perfect. Okay. That was the curiosity that I had because your flavors, your content is unique.
Yeah, no,
And
yeah,
yeah, it's really, we've had a lot of cannabis beverages on the show. And I'm always excited because, again, for what you started at the top of the show, you said what's true. This for early adoption, for socialization of the product, right? There's nothing that could be like beverage if we get this damn thing right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think that it's going to be. I think it's a small part of the market now, um,
Yeah. It's about
but
2%.
about
Yeah.
2% exactly.
Yeah.
But my hope is, and my belief is that it will get bigger with time, especially as people seem to be really wanting to and embracing like a healthier lifestyles. And
Absolutely.
there's like very few studies that come out that say that like any part of alcohol is good for you. So I think that that's a switch that perhaps people will want to make in the future.
Yeah. I think that's great. We'll dig into some of the other areas that are I'm sure real important to you and real important to us in the listening audience when we come right back. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Vern Davis. I am your host of Plant Profits, and Plant Profits is proudly brought to you by Produce Global. My guest today is Sarah Patel. She is the CEO and founder of Kelia. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I am Vern Davis. I'm your host of Plant Profits. Plant Profits is brought to you by Produce Global. My guest today on Plant Profits is Sarah Patel. She is the CEO and founder of Kelia, a really beautiful non-carbonated beverage in the cannabis community. And how long has Kelia been in the market, available for purchase by consumers?
Just a few weeks now.
Uh-huh. There you
It's
go.
Yeah, we're getting into stores. It's people, the
Yeah.
reception has been really great. I'm very proud of what I've built.
Yeah. I think the lack of carbonation differentiates your product and put and I really believe that we need more of those products in the space, right? For professional and personal reasons. But Kelia, tell me about the naming of the product.
So that's actually kind of a funny story. I did a
Yeah.
lot of research on names and just trying to figure it all out. And I ended up settling with Kelia because it means warrior, beauty, strength, intelligence. There were all of these things that I really wanted to have my consumers be able to encompass that feeling.
Mhm.
And that's really where the name came from.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. It's tough. I mean, that's a great story because that gives you huge opportunity to from producing and creating different flavors, need states to effect that's consistent, goes back to your name. I think that's really cool. Um, but I just in today's climate, right? In the business, in the legal cannabis business, you launched a new product, right? Very difficult. The folks that lend money,
Yeah.
that provide money for folks like you they have a hard time getting money.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that journey, that part of the story about getting the platform of support and resources to take this on.
So that it really started like I went to my husband with the idea that like initially he was like, no, you're not gonna just like that's such like a huge thing. How can you come home and just like lay on me that you want to start this new company? And then slowly he really actually got on board. And we just took little baby steps. We like called lawyers
Okay.
first to make sure like,
Okay.
can we even do this? Is this even something that we are able to do? Because we don't manufacture ourselves. We,
Right.
we other people manufacture for us. So can we even do this? And then you talk to some people who make the emulsions, and then they introduce you to people who do product development, and it just was this very slow, like little baby steps at first, and all of a sudden I feel like we were just like rolling down a hill. It just all trying to like get
I'm
momentum.
sure he felt that way too. Yeah.
He did. And we've been definitely right now we are self-funded,
Yeah.
and we are going to do anything that we feel is necessary and important to make this as strong of a company as we can, and then hopefully getting some investors later on,
Yeah.
or at least
Yeah.
partners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
That's great. I mean, that's good. I mean, you have a wonderful product, and I'm sure that that will happen.
yeah, thank you.
You just got to have some staying power, Sarah.
You do. And I feel like you kind of need to be a little bit creative and think outside of the box when it comes to like who you partner with, for example, or
Yeah. Uh-huh.
partnering with different places that align with what your values are, and being able to introduce your product to their consumers and their customers and their clientele. So that's something I'm also interested in.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What type of partners are you looking for?
I mean, gyms, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
things that value health in
Mm-hmm.
just naturally. So
Mm-hmm.
gyms could be a good partnership, or um, spas would be yoga studios,
Hmm.
things like that is what I envision.
Okay, that's great. That's good. So, in this journey, and I'm talking about the multiple hurdles you have to go across, right? Did you find, or have you found, you're still kind of early, right?
Yeah.
Have you found that being female, has that been a plus? Or is it in your mind, you thinking you're at home saying, if I were a man, right, this would be easier. What are you finding on that journey at this point in time?
Well, the first thing from the female community within cannabis, like full open arms, it's been
Yeah.
really cool. Um, I think that, females maybe struggle sometimes. Yeah, maybe there are some times where I thought, like, if I was a man, I would be taken a little bit more seriously with my product. Um,
Right.
but for the most part, it hasn't been too crazy. It hasn't been anything that I've like taken me aback or anything like that. And again, the female community within the cannabis space is a force to be reckoned with. I mean,
Mm,
they're very, very just as passionate as I am about cannabis, and bringing it to people, and especially spreading the thought that you know women, this could be really beneficial for women, and in a way that maybe before it wasn't thought to be a beneficial thing, cannabis. But
mhm.
now that we have like learned a little bit more about the plant and learned about all of the benefits that it can give you, I think that's something that I really want to spread on to
Mhm.
other women.
Yeah, that's great. That's good news. That's spreading good news. That is spreading good news. So as you look at building this company, so you're in the infancy stages, right? You market, if you probably don't have many employees, right? It's female owned, it's female run, you are the CEO, right? Are you thinking that the majority of your employees are going to be female? Is that the move, or you're just going to, or you're not quite looking at it that way? You're looking at the product is going to dictate who consumes it, and you're going to build a company differently than that. So tell me more.
I definitely want to, when I'm at the stage, being able to hire
Yeah,
women and get more women into the space for sure. Um,
right.
I do need to figure out, like, as you mentioned, like the market will kind of
Mhm,
dictate who is the consumer.
mhm,
So what I envision right now may not be exactly who the consumer is. Maybe, maybe it won't get picked up by that many women. I don't know. And maybe it will just become more of like a health drink. I hope though that
mhm,
my message can stay clear. And I definitely
mhm.
believe that bringing women into the company, when we're ready for that, would be a huge help, and um, very, something I want to do.
That's beautiful. That's great. Yeah, I think it's important. I think your mission, you being a leader, is dynamic. It's important. Uh, Cannabis has this huge opportunity uh, to affect in a very positive way what C-suites of consumer product goods companies look like, and it's a huge opportunity. And I'm very impressed when I see founders start with that concept of diversity of leadership, and I think that's really an important piece. And I really believe those companies are going to be over in a trend because of their value of that. I think it's not people think it's feel good. Yeah, it feels good, but it's a business decision that's got to affect
Yes.
positively the bottom line. And if you do it right, it can do that in spades. So I really love the fact that you're doing that. Um, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break,
Mhm.
and we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about Kelia. I'm Vern Davis. I'm your host of Plant Profits, and my guest today on Plant Profits is Sarah Patel. She is the CEO and founder at Kelia. Hello, everyone. I'm Vern Davis. I am your host of Plant Profits, and Plant Profits is brought to you proudly by Produce Global. My guest today is Sarah Patel. Sarah Patel is an entrepreneur. She is the founder and CEO of Kelia. Now, Kelia is a non-carbonated cannabis beverage product that she's launched recently into the marketplace. So, welcome back. Welcome back, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So, let's tell me the feedback you're getting from consumers about your product. Have you had a chance to start collecting that?
I haven't, not from consumers yet,
Okay.
but from the different dispensaries who have tasted and brought them in. It's
Okay.
been a great response. I think that from, at least from what I'm hearing, it's not just the flavors, but it's also the different functionalities of each of them
Yeah.
with minor cannabinoids that aren't widely used in the beverage market, is something
Mm-hmm.
really interesting to a lot of dispensaries. So I'm definitely hoping to get similar feedback with consumers.
Oh, absolutely. So you mentioned earlier that you're using contract manufacturing
Mhm.
to make the product.
Mhm.
Talk to me about what's your plan for expansion of the product. So I would take it. Where'd you launch the product? Where did you initial launch? What state are you in?
Massachusetts only, right?
Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
Massachusetts only right now. This is a
Yeah.
great cannabis state. So you're in Mass, and so how are you going to expand this? And what's the plan?
Um, the plan, my plan is to initially just really concentrate on Massachusetts and make sure that we get everything right and iron out any kinks that may come along. And then I would love to be able to go to another state and manufacture there, do another co-manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love that. Eventually, I would love to expand to other states. Um, right now, I find that I really want to focus in on what I'm doing right now in Massachusetts. Although
Sure.
other people in other states have reached out to me and very interested. So that's pretty cool.
No, that's great. That's good. As you got closer to launching, did what you were seeing, did you see that the beverage cannabis marketplace is it seemingly crowded or proportionally very crowded, or because it is a small slice, right? It's a small slice, but do you still see more and more opportunity to come in that part of the business?
Oh, I think that beverage has such a unique opportunity because there's so many different kinds of beverages out there. And
Mhm.
I found it pretty simple to find out like where some of the holes in the market were. And there are so many because
Right.
it's still in the infancy stage, really. But the space can seem very crowded because there's only so much
Hmm.
room within a dispensary that they're able to store your product and then sell your product. And so they only really want to sell what they think they can move. Um,
Right.
so I think that that's, the tough part is that I think that beverage could expand exponentially. We just kind of need to figure out a way to share the space easily with everyone, quite
Hmm.
literally share the space with everyone in dispensaries.
So in your route to market, right, you have someone making it. Who's selling it for you? How are you selling it to the dispensaries?
Oh, I've partnered with a great company called Pedal Fast. They
Ah,
help me tremendously with this process. I really, I mean, they've been excellent. And so that's
Right.
really who I've been relying on, and kind of like taking their lead, being able to go
Mm-hmm.
on ride-alongs and introduce myself to the dispensaries that they work with, and then being
Mm-hmm.
able to talk about my product firsthand. I think that gives me a great benefit. It's easier to get in touch with the product buyers if you kind of have someone doing an introduction for you.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, they can help you in many places. That's
Yes,
good.
I have.
Yeah, that's a good relationship. And they will also probably help you connect the dots on co-manufacturers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's something
Yeah,
that, yeah, we definitely are going to talk with them about it.
yeah. As you look at your future and where you're headed, right? And you're setting goals, I'm sure.
Mhm.
I love your first goal is let's get Massachusetts right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Because to your point, you're gonna learn so much.
Yeah.
You're going to learn so much. And then every time you place the product in a new dispensary, it enhances your story to tell to other states, right? Every time. So it's like building a house, right? Brick by brick.
Yeah. Exactly.
Build a great build a mansion in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
That's
First,
right.
and
Yeah.
maybe hop along to other states.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. You know, that you have the foresight to think through it that way. And because that's going to develop a lot of patience, because as you're more successful, you're going to get more enticement to do something different than what your plan is,
Yeah.
right? But those are good days.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are good days.
Yeah.
Those are really good days. Tell me about this little thing, this really high housewives of Metro West Boston. I
Yeah.
I I heard about that. Tell me about that.
Yes, that was, I mean, just to even like say out loud that I was interviewed for
Yeah,
Boston Magazine was just such a thrill. Um,
yeah.
and yeah, it was, I came across the author Julie, and she was looking for women who use cannabis, who were open to talking about it. And I emailed her, and we had a great conversation that, yeah, ended up in her article. It was pretty exciting. We have about like 6 of them in my kitchen if you ever need to if you ever need a copy.
That's great. That's good. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's wonderful. You got some publicity there. I mean,
Yeah,
especially the timing of that and what you're trying to get done
it was
was
amazing.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, I mean, I really feel like it was a lucky little break for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if
So,
anything, that actually helped cement for me what I was doing. To hear that someone was writing an article about the popularity of cannabis among women, to be able
mhm.
to also be featured in that was really incredible. But it really showed me this isn't just a me idea. This is a bigger idea that needs to just sort of gain more traction and get more education out there. I'm very big with
Yeah,
education out there.
that's great. Oh, that is good. I really want to thank you for coming to
Thank
Plant
you.
Profits and sharing your story on our show. And I'm cheering for you.
Thank you.
I want all those non-carbonated drinks to come to
Yes.
fruition here. You're
Yes.
right. Taken from a guy who can't have that carbonation.
Yeah.
So and it's a lot of us out there.
And
So
there is.
don't be shy of promoting that fact.
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's, yeah, absolutely.
does it give you an opportunity to do more with the beverage because it doesn't have carbonation?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think that carbonation is sometimes an easy something to add in. It helps. It just sort of helps get, otherwise you have to do nitro.
Mm-hmm.
But it's yes and no, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. Well, look, Sarah, I really want to thank you for appearing on Plant Profits and telling your story. And we're going to be following Kelia as it evolves and grows and in Massachusetts and beyond. So I do want to thank you, and please come back when you have
Absolutely.
more stories to tell us about Kelia. And so thank you for joining us here on Plant Profits,
Thank
and
you
for
for
all of you. Yeah, and I'm thanking you, and I'm thanking everyone. Hey, go look for this episode, right, and other episodes of Plant Profits by going to cannabisradio.com or anywhere you listen to podcasts. We are there. All the outlets: Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, iHeart, anywhere. We are there, and listen to us and download Plant Profits. Follow Produce Global, my company, on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of the social media platforms. We are there, and really read and learn about how we at Produce Global are changing people's lives and how we're building companies at Produce Global. And that's PROTIS global.com. I'm Vern Davis. I'm your host of Plant Profits. Until next time, cheers.